Hello and welcome back to Meep's Math Matters. The Oscar nominations for the 2010 Academy Awards have just been announced, so I thought I'd go back and look at how these nominees were chosen. I'm drawing heavily on this column by Steve Pond on how the Oscar nominee ballots are counted, and specifically for Best Picture because all of the Academy members got to vote on nominees for Best Picture. And sorry, little script, no ad for you. So let's look at this procedure. On the left, I got this from the Wall Street Journal, is a list of the 10 films nominated in the Best Picture category, and all Academy members get to vote on this. And I'm only talking about the procedure for this specific category. Each Academy member has one ballot, and they get to list 10 films on that ballot. However, even though they are listing 10 films, ultimately, their vote is only going to count for one of those films on their ballot. And I'm going to go to the procedure, just saying this up front. If the first 9, and this is rank ordered, like 1 through 9, aren't in the mix, then their number 10 choice counts as their vote, even if it ultimately is thrown away. So the first thing is they get the list from all of the first choices. So if a movie is nobody's first choice, it isn't even considered for the nomination for Best Picture. This kind of gives a little bit of an incentive to put the most obscure, least popular film as your number 1 and or number 2 choices on your ballot. Because, well, you'll see. So, for example, let me just give an example. Suppose you did really like Avatar, you really did think it was the Best Picture, but it's box office number 1. Take a look at that. Why not pick something no one has ever heard of in education, put that as your number 1 choice, and then it's in contention for a nomination. If you did it the other way, your vote will probably end up being for Avatar, and that will get thrown out, and education is shafted. But again, I'm getting ahead of the game. So, and another thing, of course, is there could be fewer than 10 films theoretically that are people's first choices, but given that there are thousands of ballots, this is just highly unlikely. In any case, what they come up with is a magic number. So let's bring out the numbers. Let's suppose, as per Steve Pond, there is a total of 5,500 ballots. At the beginning of this process, there are 10 nomination slots to fill. So at the beginning of the process, the magic number is the total number of ballots still in play divided by the number of slots plus 1. So 5,500 divided by 11, which is 500. And what happens is any film where the ballot votes are over 500, so 501 and above, they automatically are in the mix, and it continues. Again, now this is not a rock solid voting procedure. Theoretically, you could have 10 different movies as people's first choice, and they each get 500 votes. I'm sorry, 11 movies that each get 500 votes. I don't know if they have a tiebreaker for this case, but this is so highly unlikely. So pulling from the Steve Pond's example, this is, we have no idea what the actual vote count for each of these was. We only know what the results were at the end of the day. But let's just pretend these are the original number 1 votes after we have counted these all up. Then Up in the Air and Avatar have enough to automatically go on to the next round. And if you add that up, that's 1,075 votes. And after we take the 1,075 votes away, so now we have 4,475 ballots left, 8 slots to fill, and then the magic number is going to be now 497.2. Now, by the way, all of these ballots that were up here, they're gone. They have voted. They are out of the running now, so we only care about the ones on the bottom. So we can see none of the remaining votes have enough to get over 497.2, so they need at least 498 to get added to the slot. So we're going to cross off the Lovely Bones at the bottom. So how are these votes redistributed? So let's just say number 1 for you is the Lovely Bones. Okay, that's out now. Let's just say this person picked Transformers, whatever is it, 2, 3, I don't know what it's at now. Well, that's not even on the list, so that's going to get thrown out. So this is for a single ballot. Now their vote is going to be added to the up pile. And we're going to keep going up from the bottom. You know, if no one's above that magic number 497.2, not 498 or larger, then the next off would be This Is It, and that would be added, and that would be added. And wait a second, Star Trek didn't make the nominees? This is an outrage. So let's say that you take those 100 votes from the Lovely Bones and you redistribute them amongst the remaining movies, and Hurt Locker has 500. Now this is over our magic number. Those 500 ballots now come off the table, left with 3,975 ballots. We have 7 slots left. And so our new magic number, 496.875, that means anything with 497 and above is good. So now we have to remove This Is It with their 150 votes, redistribute, and continue this process until you have filled up all 10 slots. Now, I want to note, there is, even though they say, you know, you can't game this, yada, 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 well, looking at the rules the way this is, it does give an incentive for you to take, you know, less well-known movies, say In Education, A Serious Man, The Last Station, you know, things, movies that few people have heard of except maybe a few insiders, to put those much higher on their list than maybe they actually prefer. Again, for the like Avatar, which was really well known, or Up, really well known, you might think, oh, they're very likely to be people's number 1 or number 2 choice. They really knew it. I'm going to push it down farther than I really expect. So, you know, what if everyone votes for Avatar as their first choice, and then all of those votes are off the table? And then you're going to get a whole bunch of just scattering stuff. They do actually have a twist to this to take care of the situation. For this case, they have a surplus rule when you have more than 20% of the votes needed to secure your slot. Again, you don't want all 5,500 votes, say, going for Avatar, and then all those votes are off the table. What you gonna do? So let's go back to our original. Our magic number was 500. If we multiply by 20%, that's 100. So if you have 601 votes and above, you're going to want to redistribute. So if we redo our example and suppose that Up in the Air, instead of getting just over 501 votes, got 1,002 votes, which is much greater than 601, and Avatar got 771 votes. You'll see that you know, you only needed 501 of those votes. 501 over 102, 1002 is a half. So what that means is your first vote, your vote for Up in the Air, would get half weight, and then you would go down the list as a half vote. So it would add up to 1 full vote. So let me just give an example. So let's say I have a ballot where number 1 is Up in the Air and number 2 is Star Trek. In the surplus rule, Up in the Air would get half the vote and Star Trek would get the other half. For my second ballot example, Avatar needed about 2/3 of its votes, so 2/3 of the vote would go to Avatar to get it up to the 501, and then the remaining 1/3 of the vote, so this will add up to 1 as well, 1 whole vote would go to 9 because Transformers isn't even on the list. It does get a little complicated, but this prevents the problem of too many votes for going for one movie and not being able to fill up all the slots. So you can always contact me, marypat.campbell@gmail.com, and please spread the math love.